The smell of fries and fresh burgers filled the air. It was just another busy afternoon at McDonald's, until Joe Burrow walked in. At first, people whispered. Then, the quiet murmurs turned into full conversations. Some grabbed their phones, others stared in shock. Burrow kept his head down, waiting in line like anyone else. But then, something completely unexpected happened. The mood inside shifted. Conversations stopped. The entire restaurant fell into silence. Burrow's face tensed. People watched as his moment of public embarrassment unfolded right before their eyes. And what he did next? No one saw it coming. Joe Burrow wasn't looking for attention. He had simply walked into McDonald's like any other customer. Maybe he was hungry after a long workout. Maybe he was just craving something simple. Either way, he wasn't expecting to be the center of attention. But that's exactly what happened. As he stepped inside, the energy in the restaurant shifted instantly. A couple of teenagers near the soda machine did a double take. A man at the counter stopped mid-order. The employees behind the register exchanged quick glances. Some smiled in recognition. Others simply stared. Burrow barely reacted. He kept his hands in his pockets, waiting his turn in line. But the whispers got louder. Is that Joe Burrow? No way, what's he doing here? Should we ask for a picture? A group of young men near the back booth started nudging each other, laughing as they pointed in his direction. Something about their energy felt off. It wasn't admiration, it was something else. Burrow stayed calm. He glanced at the menu above the counter, acting as if he didn't notice. But then, it happened. One of the guys from the booth stood up, walked right up to Burrow, and loudly said something that made the entire restaurant freeze. Burrow's body stiffened. His jaw clenched. The customers who had been whispering suddenly fell silent. Some people pulled out their phones, sensing something was about to happen. Others looked away, not wanting to be involved. For a few seconds, Burrow just stood there. He could have ignored it. He could have laughed it off. He could have walked away. But instead, he did something that no one expected. And in that moment, this wasn't just an awkward encounter anymore. It was something much bigger. The guy standing in front of Joe Burrow had a smug grin on his face. The entire restaurant was watching now, waiting to see what would happen next. Then he spoke. Hey, aren't you that guy who lost the Super Bowl? A few people chuckled. Others gasped. The words hung in the air, sharp and deliberate. It wasn't a question. It was an insult. Burrow didn't flinch, but his expression changed. A split-second pause, a tight jaw. He had heard worse before, but something about this moment felt different. And the guy wasn't done. Yeah, man. Thought you'd be eating at some fancy steakhouse, not a McDonald's. Guess losing doesn't pay that well, huh? This time, the laughter was louder. More people joined in. Phones were out, cameras rolling. Burrow had walked into McDonald's for a quick meal. Now, he was the center of an embarrassing scene, with strangers laughing at him like he was the punchline of a joke. The employees behind the counter looked uncomfortable. A mother with her 2 kids glanced over, shaking her head. But no one stepped in. No one stopped it. Burrow had 2 options. He could ignore it, pretend it didn't happen, and walk away. Or he could respond. But any reaction could make things worse. If he got angry, it would be all over social media in minutes. If he said the wrong thing, it would be headline news. For a few seconds, he did nothing. The guy in front of him smirked, as if he had won. The people around him waited. Would Joe Burrow let this slide? Then, just as it seemed like Burrow was about to leave, he did something no one in that restaurant expected. The laughter stopped. The phone stopped recording. In a matter of seconds, Joe Burrow took control of the moment, and what he did next turned the entire situation upside down. Joe Burrow exhaled slowly. The guy in front of him was still smirking, waiting for a reaction. The restaurant was dead silent, except for the low hum of the fryers and the faint sound of the soda machine. Then, Burrow did something that caught everyone off guard. He smiled, Not a forced, uncomfortable smile. A real, confident grin. Then he took a step closer, looked the guy straight in the eye, and said, "You're right. I did lose the Super Bowl. But at least I got there." The smirk on the guy's face disappeared instantly. The laughter from his friends at the back table? Gone. Burrow wasn't done. "I don't mind eating at McDonald's," he continued, still calm. "But I think you do, because if you were really enjoying your meal, you wouldn't be so focused on me." The guy opened his mouth, but nothing came out. He had expected Burrow to get mad, to storm out, to argue back. Instead, Burrow flipped the moment on him. The restaurant was no longer laughing at Burrow. They were staring at the guy who had tried to embarrass him. Then Burrow took it a step further. He turned to the cashier and said, "I'll take whatever he's having, and I'll pay for his meal too." A murmur spread through the restaurant. Had Joe Burrow just bought food for the guy who tried to humiliate him? The guy looked completely frozen. His confidence had vanished. People around him started whispering, nudging each other, some even laughing, but now at him. Burrow didn't wait for a response. He calmly stepped forward, paid for his own food and the guy's, then moved to the side to wait for his order. The energy in the restaurant had completely shifted. The same people who had been watching him with curiosity were now watching him with respect. And the guy? He grabbed his tray and practically ran back to his seat, avoiding eye contact. His friends were no longer laughing. They were embarrassed for him. Joe Burrow had walked into McDonald's as just another customer. Now, he was leaving as the guy who turned an attempted humiliation into his own victory. Within minutes, the entire scene was all over social media. Someone had recorded the interaction, the guy's attempt at embarrassing Burrow, his confident comeback, and the unexpected gesture of paying for the very person who tried to humiliate him. The video spread like wildfire. It started with a few Twitter posts. "Joe Burrow just handled an insult like a true champ. This is why he's different." "Imagine trying to roast an NFL quarterback, and he buys your food instead. LMAO. Then came the sports pages, the memes, the debate shows. Some people praised Burrow's response as a masterclass in handling public embarrassment. Others joked about how the guy at McDonald's would never live this down. ESPN analysts discussed it the next morning. "That's leadership," one of them said. "You don't get rattled, you stay composed, and you win, on and off the field." NFL players reacted too. Some cracked jokes, others showed respect. A former Super Bowl champion tweeted, "Now that's how you handle a hater, respect." But not everyone saw it the same way. Some people believed Burrow shouldn't have responded at all. They argued that buying the guy's food, while classy, could be seen as a way of mocking him back. One sports talk show debated whether Burrow was being genuine or just playing it smart for PR, and then there were the conspiracy theories. Some claimed the entire thing was staged for social media clout. Others insisted that the guy was planted to make Burrow look good. But the truth was simple. Burrow had reacted in real time, with real composure. Eventually, reporters caught up with him after Bengals practice. Someone finally asked him about the moment. Burrow smiled, shook his head, and simply said, "It's just a meal, no big deal." That one sentence sent fans into a frenzy all over again. Even in the middle of controversy, Burrow refused to let it become bigger than it was. But while the world moved on, one question remained. Did this moment change the way people saw him forever? Days passed, but the story didn't fade. The video kept circulating, racking up millions of views across platforms. News outlets covered it. Late-night talk shows made jokes about it. Even McDonald's social media team jumped in, tweeting, "Next time, Joe, the meal's on us." But while the internet had its fun, the man at the center of it, Joe Burrow, moved on like it never happened. He never posted about it, never bragged, never turned it into some motivational moment. To him, it was just another day. But to fans, it was something bigger. This wasn't about football anymore. It was about character, how a public figure handled a public challenge. Some sports personalities even drew comparisons to his demeanor on the field. "This is exactly why he's an elite quarterback," one analyst said. "Nothing rattles him, whether it's a sack, an interception, or some random guy in a McDonald's trying to embarrass him. He keeps his cool and makes the right play." But what about the guy who started it all? Reports say he tried to stay quiet, avoiding interviews and social media. Some claimed he even deleted his accounts for a while. He never expected this moment to explode like it did. But the most surprising twist? Weeks later, Burrow returned to the same McDonald's. No cameras, no headlines, just a normal visit. The employees recognized him and even offered him a free meal. He smiled, shook their hands, and politely declined. Before leaving, someone asked him the question everyone wanted to know. "Would you do it again? Buy his food?" Burrow chuckled, thought for a second, then shrugged. "Yeah, why not?" And just like that, he walked out, just as unbothered as he had been the first time. Even though the moment faded, it became a small piece of Joe Burrow's legend. Not just as an NFL star, but as someone who could turn an embarrassing situation into a moment of respect. And for the guy who tried to embarrass him, that's something he'll never live down. Some moments define a person, and this was one of them. Joe Burrow could have reacted like anyone else, but instead, he flipped the situation and walked away with even more respect. What do you think? Did he handle it the right way, or would you have done something different? Let us know in the comments. If you love stories like this, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more shocking and unforgettable NFL moments. More incredible stories are coming soon. Don't miss out.